They say I am resilient, but resilience is not a choice. Not when the floods come, not when the hillside melts into a heap of mud that tumbles over my roof, not when the heat climbs to levels that nobody can endure. I am a woman. I am disabled, and I live on a planet in crisis, but still I rise.
Meet Halima, an exceptional woman from Kenya's Kajiado County.
I'm Halima Sharif from Kajiado County. I'm a beneficiary of the Strevo meetings and a stakeholder. I really appreciate being part and parcel of the voice of the voiceless as a woman with disability in Kajiado, with multiple disability, and a minority and indigenous woman with disability.
For Halima, living with disabilities is already a daily struggle. Add to that the mounting pressures of a changing climate and the silence that too often meets her calls for inclusion. Funded by the African Development Bank through the Africa Climate Change Fund, ACCF, and implemented by ICASA and Semiride, the Strevo project set out to achieve the following goals in 3 years to 2026: empower women with disabilities, build inclusive climate policies, and elevate influence of women in action.
In 2021, the ACCF launched a third call for proposal focused on gender equality and climate resilience. One of the projects we selected under the third call for proposal was the Strevo project.
The Strevo project focuses on building leadership amongst women in 12 countries across Eastern Africa. Secondly, we are building the capacity of these women to actively lobby for the inclusion within national policies. For instance, when you look at Kenya's National Determined Contribution or the National Adaptation Plan, we find the word disability is not mentioned within those climate actions. That will even imply that when there is budgeting that is put to implement the actions in those policies and actions, you find that there is no budget for people with disability. Therefore, can we now use these women with disability, build their capacity to lobby, to become diplomats, to engage with county level governments, to engage with national level governments, to ensure that there are actually inclusion of such programs or activities for women with disability in climate change actions and plans and strategies as well.
But we all know that real change cannot stop at the local level. That's why Strevo has taken the voices of women with disabilities to the global stage, advocating tirelessly within the UNFCCC for a world where every climate policy is inclusive. Thanks to this work, the future is beginning to look different. At COP30, we expect to see history as disability rights are recognized through dedicated provisions and the formal establishment of a disability caucus within global climate negotiations.
From where I sit, I see more benefits than challenges. The main amongst them is that women with disabilities is a constituency that ordinarily is left out in many interventions or programs. So I think a project that specifically focuses on them is very timely and very noble.
The change is taking root. Voices that once whispered now rise strong.
To date, the project has achieved some important results. Already we are seeing that persons living with disabilities, particularly the focus group, women with disabilities, as well as women with disabilities in indigenous and minority communities, have been actively engaged in these 12 countries through awareness raising and training on climate change policy and negotiations.
My benefits from the training is to have the safe space. It has built my strength, my courage, and also my capacity on climate change negotiation and also policy on climate change.
Before I joined Semiride project, I personally faced different challenges, especially the challenge of expression, confidence. I could not even stand and introduce myself before people. But after Semiride, I gained confidence, a lot of it that I've been using, and I've been using it to fight for my rights and addressing even challenges people with disabilities face in our community.
Since 2001, Semiride has worked to uplift Kenya's most overlooked voices, including indigenous people, pastoralists, fisherfolk and forest communities. By building capacity, advocating for justice and holding government to account, it laid the foundation for what Strevo is now making possible, a climate movement that includes everyone. There you have it. The future of climate justice must be inclusive. In the voices of Florence, Halima and countless others, we hear not just the resilience, but a revolution that ensures that women living with disabilities are no longer on the margins. They are leading.